So guys, you might remember a few months ago we took a look at the beta for OLDMAN, a new official open world single player scenario for Arma 3 Apex. Well, as of this week, that's officially out and now available in the vanilla game client. So the question is then, what's changed? Well guys, this is BillyEatWorld again, and let's find out. Alright guys, how you going? Welcome to the video, and like I said, a few months ago, I actually already made a video on this one when it was still in beta. And look, I've got to admit, I wasn't really thinking about replaying it until this week, but Bohemia have been promoting the hell out of it in the last few days, and that kind of made me wonder what had actually changed. Now, just to bring you up to speed, if you didn't already catch that original video, well, firstly, yes, this is a new official expansion for Arma 3, except that unlike almost all the other DLCs, this one is completely free, assuming of course that you've already shelled out and bought Apex, considering this does actually run on the Tanoa map. Now, before we go too much further, I should clarify what I mean by official expansion, because I mean, yes, technically it is official, and yes, it technically expands the game, but not really by that much. Really, more accurately, what it is a new open world single player scenario, which just happens to add in a couple of new assets, like for example, some new static MGs and a red beret. But by the same token, you really shouldn't put it solely into the category of a scenario either. Just like last year's Contact expansion, it modifies the in-game UI with a couple of new features. And not just that, but it looks, feels and sounds just that little bit more polished than obviously most things that you're likely to find on the Steam Workshop. Now, even with that being said, you might be thinking, if it's just one mission, then what's the big deal, right? And well, once again, that's not really fair to characterize it that way either. Like I said, this is actually an open world scenario with a main quest line with multiple endings and a ton of other little side quests you can complete as well. To an extent, the game world is kind of dynamic, but I wouldn't go as far as to say it's actually a dynamic mission, because most of the quests are actually all pre-scripted. And even though they'll move around somewhat freely, most of the enemies and even the friendly AI spawn at key preset locations around the map as well. So it kind of feels as if there's a lot of freedom in this mode, but not as much as you might think. But with that being said though, in OLDMAN you really do have the ability to go around and do whatever you want in whatever order you want, kind of like in games like Far Cry or Just Cause. And look, obviously this one mission isn't going to be anywhere near as complicated as games like that, but you can tell that the devs did have them in mind. For example, you can run around and attack enemy camps, or you can steal cars, or you can buy and sell loot. All of the main elements are there, which probably is one of the most enjoyable parts about OLDMAN. It's a scenario which kind of forces you to get out of your comfort zone to do things in this game that you've probably never done before. And the jungle paradise of Tanoa is a perfect setting for a game mode like this. Not only does it have a serious Far Cry vibe going on, it's deep and it's complex, which gives you a ton of stuff to explore. Now, with that being said, I don't really want this to be a repeat of the last video, so let's shift gears a bit and actually talk about some of the things that have changed. And first up, well, you might remember probably my biggest complaint about OLDMAN back in December was that it was actually very badly balanced. Like I said, it's the sort of scenario which is designed to pull you out of your comfort zone, but back in my original playthrough, the scenario was very vehicle heavy. So basically, as soon as I'd got myself in an armored vehicle, I pretty much broke the game for myself, and when I found a helicopter, well, it was all over at that point. Now, I don't want to spoil it for you because finding powerful vehicles and weapons is still a big part of the fun in this game mode, but what I will say is the devs have made it a lot harder. And that basically means that you'll spend a lot more time on foot using basic small arms, which is how it's designed to be played, because it seems like it's now a bit harder to find ammo and attachments for the rarer ones. Not just that, but another thing I noticed the devs have done to try and stop people like me breezing through camps with MRAPs is they've changed the way the enemy air support works. In Old Man, basically, the more you annoy the enemy, the more stuff they throw at you, and it seems like now it's a lot more likely that you'll end up with a jet or an attack heli after you if you are going around, for example, attacking camps in a vehicle all the time. Now, moving on, so far so good, but I should mention that probably the two most annoying things about Old Man back when it was in beta was firstly the performance and secondly the bugs, which have kind of been improved in this one to an extent, but at the end of the day, we all know this is Arma 3 and bad performance and bugs are always going to be a fact of life. For example, the gameplay you can see now is running at 1080p on mostly high settings, and I was still dipping below 60 FPS occasionally, even though I'm running an RTX 2070 and a 9700K. But like I said, it was actually a little bit better than on my last playthrough, so it does seem like they've actually done a bit of work trying to optimize the mission so it isn't so resource heavy. Now, as for the bugs though, well, to be honest, I haven't really encountered anything game-breaking this time around, like, for example, the AI refusing to spawn, which, as you can imagine, put a very quick end to my original campaign. But look, it is Arma 3, it's not GTA 5, so you are bound to encounter a few little issues, like, for example, merchants running away if there's a gunfight going on nearby. Also, and this isn't really a bug, but one thing I really appreciate that devs have changed is that they've added the option to play through the scenario with regular saves, instead of only being able to save when you rest. Because I mean, I play on fairly average difficulty settings, and even then some of the encounters can be brutally hard, and in my original playthrough I think I just ended up having to save with console commands because I couldn't be stuffed going back and loading from where I last camped. But anyway, we're getting to the end of the video now, so the last thing I want to talk about is some of the things you might not have realized have been added along with this scenario. Like, for example, apparently in this patch the devs updated the physics engine, which according to some people improves vehicle collisions and according to others makes them worse. But not just that, if you've ever delved into making missions or scripting, well, you'd know that the Eden editor just doesn't really cut it on its own for something as complex as this scenario. And so it seems like to solve some issues, the devs needed to add in some new scripting commands with this update, like, for example, but not limited to, the ability to change the interval time of triggers and also a proper way to blacklist items. So to finish up, look, Old Man might not be the biggest update for Arma 3, but it's definitely one of the most interesting. And along with last year's Contact, I think it really shows that Bohemia are thinking outside the box. No longer is Arma 3 just a milsim franchise, it's also got the potential to be a 3D action RPG as well. And look, we've known this for ages. I mean, the beauty of this game is that the devs do give community creators the ability to create whatever they want, which has spawned new franchises and even new genres. But I've got to say, it's actually just refreshing now to see that it's the official expansions that are redefining what the game is and what it should be. And here's hoping that whenever Arma 4 does finally come along, that there'll be more of this sort of stuff to come. But anyway, guys, that just about wraps up this quick video. So as always, make sure you let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of Arma 3 Old Man? Do you think it's a good expansion? Would you like to see more of this stuff in the future? Let me know what you think down below. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and please feel free to check out the links in the description if you want to see any more of these videos. And don't forget, you can also find my Twitter and Discord links down there as well if you want to keep in touch. And as always, until next time, see you later, and have a good one.